Good evening. It being 5 o'clock, I will call this regular council meeting of the town of Fort Frances to order. It is session number 92. And we'll begin with our territorial acknowledgement. We respect and truly acknowledge that we are on Treaty 3 territory, the traditional land of the Anishinaabe and the Métis Nation. We give gratitude and honor to the ancestors, elders, and all Anishinaabe and Métis people for sharing their resources and knowledge with us. Councillors, any disclosure of pecuniary interest? If so, state the general nature. Councillor Morrison? Which number is that? In camera? Okay. Anybody else have a conflict? Okay. Moving on, delegations, deputations, we have none. Presentations, we have none. Correspondence, we do have some. 6.1 is correspondence from the Dog Park Advisory Committee regarding locations. So there was a list of 3 locations presented. We really can't make any decision until we get the report that we've asked of administration on the usage for an RV, because I understand that the Dog Park Committee still considers that location their number 1 choice. So if council is fine with that, we'll wait until we get that report to decide. And I see Councillor Bean has a comment or a question.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. I believe, as the mayor said, you listed 3 options, although maybe one of the options has 2 potentials, but I think you were looking at 6 sites initially. Do you know what, can someone tell me what the other 2 were? I think the initial report mentioned 6 sites that you've been looking at. I wonder if somebody can mention the other 2.
Do you know that, Councillor? Does it, is that okay, Councillor Bean, if he emails it to you later? Okay, all right. Any other questions or comments on this? Yes, Councillor Morrison?
Through the chair, I just wanted, somebody else maybe suggested to me today that maybe when the Shevlin Woodyard lots open up, that might be a good spot for a dog park.
Okay, I see Councillor Firth is noting that. Thanks to Councillor Morrison. 6.2, we have an invitation from the Rainy River First Nations annual fish fry. I'd like to put an oral resolution on the floor. I think this is a special event for our district. Every year, and this has been going on for over 50 years, Rainy First Nations feeds the entire district. I'm going to be out there again this Friday cooking, but I noticed many people from the town of Fort Frances go out there with their families for a great meal. So I'm thinking that in the interest of reconciliation, it would be a nice thing if the town of Fort Frances donated, say, $250 toward the cost of that fish fry. And so I'll put an oral motion on the floor to that effect, that council donate $250 to the Rainy River First Nations annual fish fry from the Indigenous Relations budget. Can I get a mover and second? Councillor Morrison, Councillor Maki? Any discussion on that? Councillor Morrison?
To your worship, yeah, I just want to say you're right. There's a lot of people from Fort Frances that attend that in the surrounding area, and it's nice to see you've been out cooking there every time I've been out there, and thank witch for that.
Well, I also sneak some walleye while I'm cooking. Any further comments or questions? All in favor? That's carried. No one was opposed. Thank you for that. We have the 6.3 Northwestern Health Unit 2025 financial statements. Any councillor want to comment or ask a question about that? Looking specifically at you, Councillor Brunetta. You okay? Yeah. Okay, so we'll just accept those. And then 6.4 is kind of a sad letter on behalf of the Lappish family. Melanie Lappish has been missing since 2024 with no word of her, so that's a real tragedy for our community, and our sympathies and thoughts certainly go out to the Lappish family. Councillors, anyone have a question or a comment on this? Yes, Councillor McTaggart.
Thank you, Your Worship. I was in discussions with the OPP today, and the Criminal Investigation Bureau is working very hard on this case, and I think that it's a police matter and probably left at that.
Yeah, thank you for that, because my suggestion was going to be that we forward this letter to the OPP and ask for an update, but you've basically already done that, so thank you very much for that. Go ahead.
Just further to that, the detachment board meeting is this Friday, and they'll have that letter at that point.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Yes, Councillor Brunetta.
Thank you, Your Worship. In their letter, they indicate that they would like us to formally acknowledge Melanie Lapish's disappearance on the public record, confirming the matter remains unresolved and of serious concern. I'm not sure how we do that.
I think we just did that.
Okay, so it's just
Yep.
a verbal
Yes.
report. Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
But thank you for bringing that up. Anything else? Okay, we'll move on to reports. Again, I'm just going to give some highlights from mine. This is a busy time of year, the busiest time of year for me, May and June. I do want to start off by saying a real harbinger of spring has occurred in that the Sorting Gap Marina opened today. So I think we're selling ice cream, and hopefully the weather will warm up so we can sell more of it. Okay, just briefly on NOMA, we had a great delegation at NOMA. We had great representation there. The majority of our council was there. Our CAO was there. And as always, NOMA puts on an excellent conference. There was much to learn, and there was a lot of networking going on by all members of our council. I had an agenda when I went to NOMA, and so I spent a lot of NOMA networking or talking to various people. One of the issues I wanted to bring to NOMA was the issue of immigration, that our local businesses desperately need immigrant workers. The federal government, we've been petitioning the federal government through our MP for some time. They've passed new legislation that states that local businesses can now have an increased percentage of their workforce as immigrant workers, and they've increased that from, I believe, 5% to 10%, as well as keeping their existing workers. The caveat to that, of course, is the provinces have to opt in, and Ontario, to date, hasn't opted in. So I spent a significant amount of time at NOMA speaking to every cabinet minister I could buttonhole about encouraging the province to opt in. I also spoke to a number of immigration people that were there, staffers that were there, both from the federal government and from the provincial government. They were all agreeing in favor of Ontario opting in. So we'll keep on that. Another issue that I spent a fair amount of time at NOMA is, of course, coming to council tonight, and that's the fact that we want to get regularly scheduled passenger service into our airport. Fort Frances right now is in transition, and I believe that we're at a cusp. We're on the brink of some very vigorous economic activity and development, and we're going to need passenger service now more than ever as professionals and workers will start flying into Fort Frances. So to that, I spoke with the mayors of Dryden and Kenora because they're exactly in the same situation. Kenora now has passenger service. Dryden is considered doing exactly what we in Kenora are doing. I had a chance very briefly to speak with Minister Rickford, and I'll be speaking with him again on this issue. Two other issues that I brought up, one a new one and one a perennial issue. The new one is that unfortunately, the American government has voted by a narrow margin, 60 to 59, to allow mining in the boundary waters. So these are the headwaters that flow through Rainy Lake, Rainy River, Lake of the Woods, and they're going to be doing some copper and nickel sulfite mining. Any sort of pollution that occurs from that doesn't stop at the border. The waters flow through our pristine north, and so we have concerns about that. So I was fortunate enough to get the first question at the NOMA Bear Pit session, and so I asked that question of the Ontario government. would they see that the Boundary Waters Treaty, which says that no signatory to the treaty, Canada and the U.S., will pollute the other's waters? Will the Ontario government see that that is enforced? So we'll see where that goes. Since then, I've met with Chief Breer. This is a matter of concern for Treaty 3. Treaty 3 has passed a resolution urging the same thing. And they've sent me a copy of the resolution. I'm going to send it out to council tomorrow. I just got it 10 minutes ago. And they've asked me to send it, forward it to mayors in the Rainy River District and also some mayors outside of the district. And I will be doing that on behalf of Chief Breer and Treaty 3. The other issue that I had, and I brought to Noma, this is the perennial one, is that it's fishing season. That's a good thing. But it's the time of year when we see a lot of American fishing guides bringing American anglers who stay at American resorts into Canadian waters to use our resources but not contribute in any way to our economy. It's also a border security issue because they don't have to go through any customs. And so we don't know who's coming in, how many are coming in, what their background is. Really, what they're doing, ostensibly they're fishing, but we don't know that, what they bring in with them. So I asked the final question at Noma Bear Pit. I was fortunate enough to get 2 questions about that, and I asked it of our good friend, the Minister of Natural Resources. He's been very active on our behalf on this issue, and assured me at Noma that he would be ensuring that there are additional conservation officers, and that he would also refer this to the Solicitor General to see that there are additional OPP in the boundary waters. So we thank the Minister for that. And I think that's enough on Noma. Other councillors can weigh in during their reports if they like. One thing that's important to our community is that the bridge, the CN bridge that fell down last year, is being fixed. It's under repairs, but it's going to be in the down position from May 10th to June 1st while they barge in a new structure. So that's been put on our social media, and other media have picked up on that. I want to give a huge shout out to our junior A hockey team, the Lakers. What a season they had. What ambassadors of Fort Francis and our community they are. The entire organization is a class act, right down from the coaches to the players to the volunteers. They did us proud. And of course, a very special shout out to Coach Luke Judson, who was voted Coach of the Year by the league. I did write a short article for our paper in praise of the Lakers. Some of you may have seen it. Another shout out, a big shout out to our Volunteer Appreciation Day, and I want to thank our clerks, but also our members of council who are present, and our staff and administration who are present, and above all, our volunteers and the award winners. It was an excellent day with excellent chefs, excellent food, a good atmosphere, and I could see that the award winners especially were touched by the observation of their volunteerism. So that was an excellent day. I mentioned that I had met with Chief Breer. We meet on a regular basis, as you know, but he called me to set up this meeting because he did want to talk about the mining and the boundary water issues and raise the fact that it was a concern to Treaty 3, but we also always touch on other issues, matters of concern between our 2 communities. The other day, I had the privilege to take part in the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls Walk. Thanks to Councillor Morrison for attending that walk, and also thanks to Councillor Morrison for being put on the spot to make a speech. And he did an excellent speech on very short notice. It was a really good outing. It was cold. There was snow flurries. It was below 0, and there was a biting wind. But a lot of people came out, and we did a loop walk and then back for a barbecue. It was a very moving day. Everyone was wearing red. We had some people from Minnesota attend, members of a drum group there. They got together with members of a women's drum group in Fort Francis and did some songs as well as shared some experience, and that was quite moving. The other day we did a flag raising. This is one I always enjoy for the Fort Francis and District Community Living. We raised their flag and issued a proclamation. What a great group they are and what wonderful things they do for some of our challenged residents in our community. So it's always a pleasure to raise the Fort Francis Community District Living flag. And then I also issued a proclamation on behalf of Hope Air. Not everyone has heard of Hope Air, but they're an amazing organization providing free air transport for members of communities in the north that require medical care. And they're a charitable organization completely financed by donations and again do wonderful work. And I think that's enough for me. My report is written. You can read it for yourselves, and if councilors have any questions, you're welcome to see me anytime, get me to expand on anything in my report. And with that, we'll go to Councillor Behan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, everyone. The Fort Francis Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors met on Wednesday, April 29th from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. at La Place Rendezvous. The board welcomed 2 new directors, Paula Brazil, local branch manager for the RBC, and Chris Martin, area general manager of Rideout Bay / Studio 6 extended stay in Fort Francis and Dryden. There's still 1 vacancy on the board. Anyone interested in putting their name forth can contact Chamber Executive Director Heather Johnson. I also can report that about a dozen new members have signed up with the Chamber over the past few months, which is excellent news. A reminder, the Chamber's annual Business and Community Expo is coming up Friday, May 22nd from 4 to 8 p.m. and again Saturday, May 23rd from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Fort Francis Curling Club. The main floor once again will feature businesses and organizations with booths still available to rent, while a craft and vendor show will be held upstairs. On the Saturday, there will be a bike rally for kids from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., followed by a trick motorcycle riding demo from 1 to 2 p.m., with both these events sponsored by the Red Rum Treaty 3 chapter. As well, there'll be the usual favorites like Rockin' for a Reason, a fundraiser in support of the La Vérendrye General Hospital Auxiliary's $100,000 commitment to the Lights Camera Diagnosis campaign, and the Bounty Castles outside. Looking further ahead, the Chamber also is in the midst of planning for this year's Quest for the Best, which will be held Friday, July 17th under the big tent as part of the Fort Francis Bass Championship. Also this year, the Chamber is organizing a Kids Quest, which is scheduled for Wednesday, July 15th. So stay tuned for more details about both these events. I also can report that the Chamber is involved with the Great Burger Give Back. Slated to run during the month of June, $1 from the sale of the featured burger at participating eateries will be donated to Riverside's Lights Camera Diagnosis campaign. And finally, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Windows Alive, a joint project of the Chamber and BIA to paint the windows of the businesses in the downtown core. It grew from 11 windows initially to now more than 30 that also extend beyond the 100, 200, and 300 blocks of Scott Street. So if you haven't done so already, be sure to check out all the wonderful artwork by such talented artists to help beautify our downtown. Turning to the Rainy River District Municipal Association, the executive held a meeting on Tuesday, April 21st at 9:30 a.m. at the Chapel Municipal Office in Barwick to set the budget for 2026, as well as to plan for the general membership meeting coming up next Wednesday, May 20th at 7 p.m. in Rainy River. The guest speakers will include Gord Sims, General Manager, and Alex Breer, Community Manager for Coeur Mining, formerly New Gold. Tika Newton of the Lake of the Woods Water Sustainability Foundation will give an update on the recent decision to allow mining in the Boundary Waters Canoe area of northern Minnesota that potentially could impact our watershed. And Angela Howerson-Smith of the Rainy River Future Development Corporation, who will outline changes to the local initiatives program. Also next Wednesday, delegates are being asked to approve the proposed 2026 per capita levy of $1, up from 90 cents in 2025. For Fort Francis, this will mean a total of $7,466 based on a population figure of 7466 from the 2024 Ontario Municipal Directory, which represents a $746.60 increase over last year. Delegates also are expected to vote on whether to change the date and venue of the annual general meeting, as well as reducing the number of general membership meetings held from 2 a year to just 1. Again, I encourage all Fort Francis Council to attend this meeting on May 20th if you're able. That concludes my verbal update. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor, and we'll go to Councillor Brunetta.
Thank you, Your Worship. Very brief report tonight. I just wanted to give you a heads up of some future meetings that I have on schedule. So our regular Northwestern Health Unit virtual board meeting will be held on May 27th. And as always, you should be getting those minutes. So if you're not, please let me know. The following week, I will be in Kenora for an in-person strategic planning session for the Health Unit Board. We have been going through a strategic planning process with MNP for a number of months now, so there's been input at all levels of the organization. So this session will be actually a culmination and finalization of that strategic plan. The following week, I will be at a public health conference in Toronto from June 8th to 10th. And the following week, I'll be at the NOMA board meeting in Thunder Bay. And again, if you're not getting those minutes, please let me know. That's it for my report. Thank you.
You have a busy week coming up, Councillor. Councillor Morrison.
Thank you, to your worship. On April 16th at 4:35 p.m., we had our library board meeting. We had a pretty big discussion there regarding the 2026 advocacy campaign led by the Federation of Ontario Public Libraries. Primary objective of the campaign is to highlight the increasing pressures faced by public libraries across the province of Ontario as they respond to complex social challenges that are linked to mental health, addictions, and lack of housing. Library employees across Ontario, probably Canada for that matter, are dealing with frontline type of incidents and crisis on a regular basis. We had some discussion regarding the controversial 2-month pilot project at Hamilton Public Library, the central branch, that requires all the patrons of the library, anybody entering, present a library card prior to entrance. It'll be interesting to see how it works out, as we have had some serious incidents at our own public library. I personally worry about the safety of families attending, as our staff have unfortunately experienced overdoses, including fights inside our public library, which in my mind is supposed to be a safe haven. I've heard from residents locally with concerns about attending our library at times when they have young children, when there are individuals smoking right outside the front doors. We had a brief discussion regarding the 2026 Ontario provincial budget. No new or increased funding for libraries was announced. However, a statement within the Ontario Municipal Partnership Fund acknowledged libraries as a critical service alongside public transit and road maintenance. So hopefully we'll begin to receive new funding. I have to say our CEO, Nadine, she finished last year the surplus and presented us a slightly tighter budget this year, even though we cut $50,000 in the budget in 2025. So our library's in pretty good shape. As far as programming, from March 20th to April 13th, we had 30 programs with 517 participants, which is on par from last year. Special programs included Journey North, a talk with Arctic explorer John Dunn, and a Death Cafe in partnership with the Rainy River District Living and Dying Well Collective. On March 27th, the library's location in the town of Fort Francis pop-up elopement and hosted the first couple to ever get married at the Fort Francis Public Library and Technology Center. Congratulations to the new couple. I'd also like to give a shout out to our library CEO, Nadine Cousineau. She's approaching her 1-year anniversary this June, and I personally, and I think I can speak on behalf of the board, that she's doing an outstanding job in her first year. We're very grateful to have her. So, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Morrison, and I definitely echo your shout out to the library CEO. Okay, moving on to agenda item 8, which is our consent agenda. We have 2 items tonight. Item 8.2 is the regular council meeting minutes of April 27th. The recommendation reads that council approve the regular council meeting minutes of April 27, 2026 as presented. 8.3 deals with boards and committee meeting minutes, and a recommendation reads that the following boards and committee meeting minutes be received as information. The ad hoc dog park advisory meeting minutes of March 11th, 2026. Councilors, would you like to pull either of those? Seeing none, I will put a resolution on the floor that council approve the consent agenda as follows, items 8.2 and 8.3. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Brunetta and Councillor Maki. Any discussion? All in favor? It's carried. No one was opposed. Moving on to item 9, which is Administration and Finance Division reports. 9.1 deals with the BIA budget. And the recommendation that will put on the floor reads that council approve report AR-26-1079, which recommends approval of the 2026 budget estimates in the amount of $91,300 as submitted by the Fort Francis Business Improvement Area, and that council approves the tax rate and BIA special charge levy in the amount of $45,000 with additional use of prior year surplus funds to balance the budget. And further, that a bylaw to authorize the levying and collection of a special charge of taxes upon the business improvement area will follow. Can I get a mover and seconder for that, please? Councillor Firth and Councillor McTaggart. Councillors, any discussion, questions? All in favor? That's carried. No one was opposed to that. Item 9.2 deals with vesting of property at Walleye Court. Recommendation reads, the council approve report AR-26-1080 to write off the taxes on roll 5912-010-006-05-104-0000 Walleye Court. And that council approve option 1, taking ownership of the property through a notice of vesting in the name of the corporation of the town of Fort Francis after an unsuccessful tax sale. Can I get a mover and seconder for that, please? Councillor McTaggart, Councillor Morrison. Questions or comments, councillors? I have a question. I'm just wondering if we take ownership of that, that's the former Walleye Trailer Court, I believe. Is that not the former trailer court? Yes?
That's an irregular piece across the street, kind of like fish hooks, right?
But what I was wondering, though, it looks like it's an out-of-way piece of property. Would that be suitable for housing if we were looking to do something for housing some of our unfortunate residents? Manager Rob?
Thank you, through the chair. I mean, there's definitely opportunity there. It wouldn't be an easy piece of property to develop into housing, which is likely why we're talking about vesting it here. Servicing it would be a challenge. It doesn't front any municipal roads. So there's definitely some challenges that we would have to work through if we wanted to look at doing some sort of development on it.
Thank you for that. Councillor McTaggart?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just for clarity, this entire parcel of land is landlocked?
Yeah.
Is it not?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Calling the question, all in favor? It's carried, no one was opposed. Okay, 9.3, decisions regarding 610 Scott Street. And the resolution I'll put on the floor reads, the council approved report AR-26-1082 to write off the taxes and penalties up to January 1st, 2024, and the tax sale expenses incurred on roll 5912-030-002-00400-0000 in the amount of $17,512.29, being the municipal address 610 Scott Street after an unsuccessful tax sale, and approving option 2 to hold a second tax sale as soon as possible. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Brunetta, pardon me, Councillor Firth and Councillor Behan. Any discussion or questions, Councillor? Councillor Behan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, maybe to Treasurer Galusha. If I'm reading this correctly, it's going to be $17,000 or so less this time around. So the minimum tender is less. So does that mean there'd be more chance of trying to be successful in selling it the second go round as opposed to we did the first time?
Madam Treasurer?
Through the chair, that is the hope. The minimum tender amount would be around the $25,000 range, which maybe is more reasonable. All we can do is try at this point. Yeah.
Okay. Back up or follow up?
Thank you. And then again, Madam Treasurer, if it doesn't successful again, come back to us again about whether not to vest it ourselves or what to do next if it doesn't sell again. Thank you.
Madam Treasurer?
Through the chair, yes, that's exactly what we would do for second term.
Thank you. Councillor? Yes? Councillor Morrison?
Through your worship, I've had some people inquire about it, so I've sent them all to our treasurer here. I'm just curious, just publicly, are people able to view these properties before they bid on them, or is it just?
Madam Treasurer?
Through the chair, no, you're not able to view them because they are private properties. If you step onto the property, you're trespassing. So unfortunately, it's sight unseen as it is, yeah.
Follow up?
So that being said, there could still be people living there. Just wondering if you can explain the process and if somebody gets one of these properties and how do they deal with the tenant or the people that are still living there?
Madam Treasurer?
Through the chair. Unfortunately, if somebody is living in a property that they purchased or that has been purchased through tax sale, it is up to the purchaser to deal with the tenants. It is not the town's responsibility at all.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, councillors? Calling the question, all in favor? It's carried, no one was opposed. Okay, 9.4 deals with capital financing, and the recommendation that I'll put on the floor reads that council approves the additional reserve fund allocations, the amount of $88,338.61 to fund the remaining capital expenditures as indicated in report AR-26-1083, and further, that it is noted that the total reserve funds used are $2,769,551.42 lower than the budgeted amount for 2025. Can I get a mover and seconder for that, please? Councillor McTaggart and Councillor Behan. Questions or discussion, councillors? Councillor McTaggart?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you. In discussion with the treasurer, I want to make sure I'm clear on this. This 88,000 is additional, but that amount has come out of the 2.7 million that was remaining from 2025. Am I correct in saying that?
Madam Treasurer?
Through the chair, yes, you're correct.
And are there any unbudgeted monies that we're approving additional out of the 88,000?
Madam Treasurer?
Through the chair. So if you read the report, some are not unbudgeted, but we didn't expect to use reserve funds for it. So for instance, if you look not too far down under the emergency services, the fire gear extractor, it went slightly over what the grant was. So we ended up needing to use $362.18 of reserves for it. So there's a few that are like that. They're still under the threshold of 10% of the capital expense itself.
So reasonably small amounts.
Regionally small, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Madam Treasurer. Further questions or comments? Calling the question, all in favor? Carried, no one was opposed. Okay, moving on to number 10, Community Service Division reports. There are none. 11, Planning and Development Division reports. There are none. 12.1, this is the redesign of the Central Avenue intersection. Okay, so we've had a lot of debate on this, so I want to try and keep the discussion as brief as possible. So I'm going to kind of frame the question for council to try to get things to move along expeditiously here. Before I do that, I'll ask administration basically to set the floor. And Manager Rob, did you want to speak to this?
Sure, I can just briefly summarize kind of the meat of my report. So at the April 13th meeting of council, a recommendation was brought forward to award RFP 2026-OF02 to the KGS group based on an application to the Connecting Links program for the redesign of the Central Avenue intersection. Council gave direction to administration to proceed with the application for this funding back in November of 2025. The motion to award the contract was defeated by council at the meeting of the 13th with no further direction received from council, leaving administration, MTO, and KGS with no clear path forward. The direction received to proceed with the design hasn't changed. The funding hasn't changed. Meanwhile, the intersection continues to deteriorate. Council's decision on the 13th has left them in a difficult position, as now the two options before you are to either reconsider the decision on the contract award or the decision on the design. Reconsidering the award means covering about a 5% cost overage on the design costs based on the budget estimate. Reconsidering the design direction means a loss of $180,000 in design funding. and risking further delays in the design work, which could potentially turn into a unbudgeted intersection reconstruction of about $3 million, which would be funded by the taxpayers. Administration has been raising concerns about the condition of the town's traffic signal system since 2017. We have been able to do some work. However, what is left for traffic signals is complicated and expensive, meaning that we need to utilize grant programs to be able to finish up the remaining signal replacement throughout town. The 2025 KGS traffic study outlined the costs associated with various intersection design options and puts the cost of a signalization reconstruction of about $3 million, with roundabout options ranging from 3.9 to 4.7 million. It should be noted that with a traffic signal reconstruction, there's very little flexibility in the construction costs and design, where with a roundabout, there is some opportunity to adjust the design and layout to suit the needs of the community as well as the financial capacity of the corporation. At the end of the day, doing nothing isn't an option. Council needs to act to ensure that this critical transportation network is operational for the community into the future.
Thank you. Before I go on, CO, did you want to comment on this?
Thank you, Your Worship. Administration is a tough position. We have a previous direction. We're indifferent. We try to build our team, and I've been adamant about we're not in the business of making the decision, but we have clear direction to build a roundabout. Opinions aside for administration. So we just want one of two to happen, ideally. Tell us that no roundabout is happening, or pass a motion to tender, unless you think the 5% overage is the only reason, then don't award the tender. Otherwise, right now, if nothing happens tonight, we're going to go to the next council and bring forward a tender for the roundabout specifically with this company, and we're just kicking the road down. So we would like a clean slate. I'm trying to say this as much as as clearly as I can, but right now we're caught in a place of nowhere. So I know there's a few votes that have been on both sides, but we'd like clear direction, a roundabout or not. If not, we strongly recommend to follow the will of council that there is a decision to do a roundabout and award the tender, or if not, then on the premise only, because it's $10,000 over, to re-tender to try to get a bid under $200,000. I hope I made it clear, but we need clear direction, and we hope after tonight we have something. Thank you.
Okay, so in the interest of clarity, here's what's before us. This is basically a procedural question. So the will of council previously decided was to direct administration to submit an application to redesign the Central Avenue intersection as a roundabout. That was decided back in 2024, and as Manager Rob said, and it was approved in the 2025 capital budget. So administration followed council's direction, public advertised an RFP for the design of a roundabout as directed, and a motion to award the work to KGS was brought forward to council at the last meeting. And that motion was defeated. $200,000 was budgeted for the work. The bid came in at roughly $211,000, so about 5.5% over. So herein is the dilemma. This is what's before you now. On the one hand, we have the will of council directing administration to seek the design of a roundabout. And then, on the other hand, we have the will of council, admittedly with one member absent, not to award the contract to design the roundabout. So clearly this puts administration in limbo as to how to proceed. So we need to help them out here. So my intent is not to have to debate both options. You have option 1 and 2 in front of you. I don't want to see council get stuck in circular arguments. The arguments have already been made. And I don't want us to get into procedural arguments and then become stuck. So here's how I intend to proceed. I'm going to poll you. I'm going to poll council to see if they're still in favor of designing a roundabout. And if that's still the will of council, then I'll seek a motion to reopen the decision to award the contract. And if we do that, as you know, procedurally, that motion has to be made by someone who voted in the majority or someone who is absent. And it requires a 2/3 majority, which is 5 votes. So if that motion passes, then we can debate that motion, but not the content of the previous motion. I'll explain that again if we get to that stage. So, polling council, I'm just going to start at Kaleb's end. Are you still in favor of a roundabout?
Nay.
Councillor Brunetta? Councillor Bien?
Yay.
Councillor Maki? Councillor Morrison?
Nay.
Councillor McTaggart?
Yay.
And I'm in favor of it. So we are still in favor of a roundabout. So option 1 is off the table. We're now to option number 2. So the motion that I'll put on the floor then reads that council approval report AR-26-1071 will agree with the recommendation of administration to proceed with option 2 as detailed in the report. And I need a mover who voted in the majority or who was absent. Can I get a mover? Councillor Brunetta, you're going to move that? Okay. Councillor Brunetta moves. Anybody can second? Can I get a seconder? Councillor Bien. Okay, so this is on the floor. Now, for it to pass, we require 5 votes. You can debate this motion, which is the motion to reopen. Cannot debate awarding the contract or if we want a roundabout or not. This is simply a procedural motion. Do you want to weigh in on the procedure, Madam Clerk?
Through the chair. Through the per procedural bylaw, section 8.7, in regards to the subject of debate, no member shall speak on any subject other than the subject that is currently being debated. The motion on the floor was solely to award the tender of engineering design services for the redesign of Central Avenue intersection to a roundabout, which was $10,648 or 5.3% over budget. Some discussion which took place was not on the awarding of the tender of engineering design services, but on the potential costs of a roundabout, which was not up for debate. A recorded vote was called, which led to a tie vote, defeating the motion to award the engineering design services. As a result of the debate, it is unclear whether council members voted on the award of tender or on the broader issue of the roundabout itself.
Okay, so if you want to debate the motion before you, which is the motion to reopen, you can. Any questions or comments on the motion that's before you? Okay, seeing none then, I'm going to call the question. Requires 5 votes to pass. All in favor? Sure. Madam Clerk? Councillor McTaggart?
So if this fails, where are we?
Thank you, Your Worship. I think I had mentioned it. We still have an active direction to do a roundabout design. So we will wait till the next council and then bring back the same thing until we get direction to either approve it or disapprove it. So we're just like leaving it until the next council to award it next year. Again, I know it's challenging because you want to vote on whether you want the roundabout or not, but that question has already been done. But specifically, we'll have to wait till the next council to retender this specifically to this one group, the only bidder, to do so again. But who knows what that outcome would be with the future council. But that will be our direction.
Good with that?
Well, after the CAO's explanation, I would ask one of the other councillors to agree to this motion. We've already decided that there's going to be a roundabout. The question is the engineering. So I would implore on the nay side to reconsider your position.
Okay, so recorded vote?
Councillor Bean,
Yay.
Mayor Halakis,
Yay.
Councillor McTaggart,
Yay.
Councillor Brunetta,
Yay.
Councillor Maki,
Nay.
Councillor Firth,
Nay.
Councillor Morrison.
Nay.
The motion fails. Thank you, councillors. Okay, got too many papers in front of me. That brings us to 12.2, which is passenger air services at our airport. So the resolution that I'll put on the floor reads, the council approval of report AR-26-1077 will agree with the recommendation of administration to enter into a revenue guarantee and airport services agreement with North Star Air for the provision of scheduled air passenger service between the Fort Frances Municipal Airport and Thunder Bay Airport. And that council should approve the establishment of a revenue guarantee pot of funds to support the air service startup. And that a separate resolution be passed authorizing the transfer of $500,000 from the corporate contingency reserve fund to an airport contingency reserve fund. And that council support marketing the air service included an unbudgeted $40,000 allocation for the 2026 year. And that a bylaw be brought to council authorizing mayor and clerk to execute the agreement with North Star Air on behalf of the corporation. Can I get a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Brunetta, Councillor Morrison. Okay, councillors. Questions, comments? Councillor Firth.
Through your worship, I was under the impression we were going to get another quarter of data before going to this far. I know that was in camera that the question was proposed, but I didn't see any data.
Manager Rob?
Thank you through the chair. So we, at least I don't think Sue Manager did either. I don't have hard numbers from Kenora in terms of what their flights have been. I have had a chance to speak with Tom from North Star as well as Sherry from Kenora. And they had a first quarter that you'd expect to have for first quarter in terms of, starting to get more of an uptick in ridership towards the end of the first quarter. So I think that's pretty indicative of what we're anticipating to see as well. It's going to take some time for people to open up to having the air passenger service, get comfortable with it. They have learned some things through their schedule in terms of when people are flying and aren't flying. So I found that helpful in terms of looking at future potential flight timing changes to support their traffic.
Follow up?
How do we have an indication of if this is going to be enough? Not though, if we don't have data. Like, is there models? Is this just a best guess?
Manager Rob?
Thank you through the chair. So we've done a number of open houses. We've done a number of outreach to the community, and we have a bunch of data. At the end of the day, that data is only as good as the community is at actually buying a ticket and using the service. And what Kenora is doing or what Dryden might do or what Thunder Bay does, it's not what is really reflective of what is going to happen here. So we've taken all of that data. We've looked at all of the information that we can gather, but until we start offering the service and we see how the community responds to it, there's only so much information that we can gather to make the decision.
I'm going to jump in on the back end of your response. As I mentioned earlier in my report, Fort Francis is on the cusp of some intense economic development. We are getting a substantial solar farm, 57 megawatts. Sometime in June or July, we'll find out if we're getting an even larger battery storage area. We know that the biomass refinery is going forward. That's a huge build, close to $300 million build. There's a potential for another biomass refinery coming. And we're also getting inquiries now because it appears that Fort Francis is positioning itself as a green energy center, and there's going to be lots of power available in Fort Francis. So we're getting inquiries from businesses and industry about relocating here to access the power. All of those people are going to require air transport. The officials coming in, the contractors, the professionals. The other thing that I've been doing is as I go around meeting people in the community, I talk to them about air passenger service. I just recently had a meeting at Seven Gens with the CEO of Seven Gens, and I asked him right out, would he and his organization use a passenger air service if they had it? And he said, absolutely, he would. In talking with Chief Breer and other Indigenous leaders, they would be interested in using the air service. So the data that we collected through all of the venues that we had over the past couple of years indicated that people would use it. When I speak to people, I hear that they're going to use it. I think, though, that the success is going to be, and I've had several conversations with Tom at North Star Air as well. He's a really willing partner. He views Fort Francis as a partner. He's willing to tailor the service to our needs. He's willing to use larger or smaller aircraft if needed. He's willing to cancel flights if nobody's on those flights. He wants it to be a success as much as we want it to be a success. I think this is a real opportunity for Fort Francis, putting us squarely into the future. So I'm 100% supportive of this. Other questions and comments? Councillor Brunetta?
Thank you, Your Worship. I also am very supportive of this. I know it's working well in Kenora, and I can see it working well for our community as well. In addition, just another question for Manager Rob. I know that we did not qualify for ACAP funding because we didn't have a commercial carrier. Would this qualify as a commercial carrier that we could then apply for ACAP funding?
Manager Rob.
Thank you, through the chair. Yes, this would qualify as a commercial carrier. The last hurdle that we would need to be able to be successful in an ACAP application is we would need to move more than 1,000 passengers per year.
Councillor McTaggart?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm just looking at the termination by the sponsor, and I see that we have no out other than to deplete the entire $500,000. And we talked about the possibility if we see this not working. I'm being the devil's advocate because I really would like to see this successful, but should it not, we have no way of getting out of this before that money is depleted. Am I correct in that?
Manager Rob?
Thank you, through the chair. I'm just finding the section in the
8.1. Page 8.
Uh, 8.3 is the section you're looking for, mutual termination. The parties mutually agree to terminate this agreement in writing at any time, provided all revenue obligations incurred to the date of termination are fully reconciled.
Okay. Further questions or comments? Yes. Councillor Bean.
Mr. Mayor, through you, just for clarification myself, I think it's a 2-year agreement. That 500,000 would be for both years combined, not each year. That 500,000 pot.
Manager Rob.
2-year term.
Yes, that's correct.
And then my
Follow-up?
follow-up. Do you know if Kenora also did the $40,000 a year for the marketing bid as well?
Manager Rob.
Yes, I think they did at least 40,000.
Thank you.
Again, I want to jump in on this. One of the things that was very clear in our discussion with North Star Air, and Tom in particular, he made the point that we had Bearskin in here and they failed. And he said to have another air service come in and fail would basically suggest that you're never going to get a third one coming in, that you have to make this one successful. So he's totally committed to the success. And the one thing he said was they're going to market it, but the airport also, the community also has to market it. So Fort Francis, Kenora, and Dryden, if they get it, are going to be expected to vigorously market the air service. That's what we have to do to make it a success. We have to market it. Yes, CAO?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just to Councillor Bean's point, and just for clarity for everyone, the projection is a loss of 171,000 in the first year. So the 500,000 hopefully is targeted based on the preliminary guesstimate would last just over about 3 years, right? So that's where with the other contingency with option 8.3, if you think we're hemorrhaging too fast, we can pull out. But the projected numbers is actually for 3 years, hopefully. And obviously, as it's running and they're marketing more, that 171, that would be the number that would be looking at. And hopefully that deficit obviously shrinks, after the first 12 months. And if it doesn't, then obviously the next council has questions to ask. Thank you.
Yep. Yes, Councillor Firth.
Through your worship, who would be the point of contact for them to our administration? Is it ECDEV? Is it the CAO? Is it your desk? Because I'm assuming we're going to want to have some kind of progress and understanding of, how much we've spent out of this.
Yeah, good question. You want to handle this, Manager Rob?
Thank you, through the chair. So the way the agreement works is quarterly they will do a full reconciliation of all things related to the flights, passengers, costs, etc. So that will be happening regularly, coordinated through myself.
Okay. Further questions? Yes. Councillor Maki.
Thank you, Your Worship. When are we projected to initiate this program? I don't think I've seen a date when they want to kick it off.
Another good question. Manager Rob.
Thank you, through the chair. So depending on, of course, the outcome of council tonight, we would have theoretically an agreement signed at the next council meeting, and discussions would be starting with North Star based on, of course, tonight's decision to make sure that we have all of the training and pieces in place so that we can start to look at when we would have a rollout date on it.
Councillor Morrison.
Through the chair, who decides on what we're doing for marketing for $40,000 a year?
Manager Rob.
Thank you, through the chair. That would be us.
Follow up.
Does, no offense, but does anybody have a lot of marketing experience in that aspect?
Manager Rob.
Thank you, through the chair. So I envision utilizing kind of the global expertise of a number of our staff in terms of where best to market. I know, for example, the guys at the airport get calls all the time for how do we get to Fort Francis. They're really good about getting some background information about where people are calling from. So they do have a bit of a running history of where people are trying to travel from to get to Fort Francis. So we want to target some of those areas. North Star also, this is the business they are in. And to the mayor's point, want to make sure they partner with us to support that. And then with some of the funds, look at hiring some support as well, just to make sure that we get all of our bases covered.
Thank you. Okay.
Through the chair, thank you. I just wanted to offer any services I have as well. I'll help out as much as I can. I've got 25 years and 30 years now of marketing products all over the world and services. So if you guys need any questions, you guys feel free to reach out at any time. I'd be very happy to help this succeed.
Thank you for that offer, Councillor Morrison. We appreciate that. Any further questions or comments? Yes.
Just to add, I just wanted to say that we have applied for funding. So there is a fund called the OTIF Fund, Ontario Transportation Infrastructure Fund. And we have applied for $1.2 million over a span of 5 years. Now, I can't guarantee that we're going to get it, but I think having the service, having it started, I think it gives us a better chance to get the funding.
Thank you for that. I would also add that I've been in discussions with our MPP, Minister Rickford, about the possibility of getting some government financing. I made the point that currently there's government subsidies for the bus service and rail service, and air service for small rural northern communities is a necessity, and the government should be funding it. And he said he will look into it. Yes, Councillor Firth.
Through your worship, for Manager Miller, does in-kind sponsorship say like rink boards or things around community assets? Does that put us in any infringement to others, or is there a stipulation that we can utilize that as a marketing outlet as well?
Manager Miller.
Through the chair, at this point, no.
Okay. Good questions. Anything else, councillors? Okay. With that, I will call the question. All in favor? That's carried. No one was opposed. Thank you, councillors. Okay. That brings us to item number 13, which is bylaws. The recommendation that I'll put on the floor is that the following bylaws be introduced and read, finally passed, signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the corporate seal, and become law forthwith. Bylaw 33-26 to execute agreement for request for proposal 2026-OF-05, and bylaw 34-26 award tender 2026-OF-04. Can I get a mover and seconder for those bylaws, please? Councillor Brunetta and Councillor McTaggart. Any discussion, councillors? All in favor? That's carried. No one was opposed. And that brings us to item number 14, notice of motion to reconsider. There are none. So we move to item number 15, which is closed session. Put a resolution on the floor that council now meet in camera in order to address a matter pertaining to, 1, Agency 1 damages claim. This falls under 239-2E, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administration tribunals affecting the municipality or local board. And 2, the Public Art Committee membership. This falls under 239-2F, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. Can I get a mover and seconder? Councillor Firth, Councillor Behan. Any discussion, councillors? Calling the question, all in favor? It's carried and no one was opposed. For those who are attending virtually, we will now move into closed session, and at the conclusion of closed session, we'll move back into open session and report. Thank you.